Welcome everyone that sees this video to Rivera's first video ever on YouTube. Well, before we start, I want to give 3 statements. First statement is that I'm Mexican, I'm from Mexico City, so probably my accent will not be amazing. I mean, I know my accent is not amazing, but please bear with me. I promise to compensate with some good commentary. Second, I know the audio probably sucks. I do not own a professional microphone. I'm recording this with my headphones from Samsung, and they're not, well, they came with my cell phone, so they are not amazing. But I'm trying, and if this succeeds, maybe I'll buy a microphone, who knows. And third of all, this is a rant video. I will be talking from my point of view as a psychology student who's about to finish her career, as a person who's very concerned about mental health and ethics. But I will be ranting a lot. So without further ado, now we're going to watch the video of Kati Morton of the hateful comments from the dark side of Jake Paul. As a disclaimer, do not own anything of this content. I'm just using it for a rant to comment on it. I don't mean any harm, but I don't mean that this psychologist, Kati Morton, or therapist is regulated somehow.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take the time to address all the hate fusion really that Shane and I have received for our video together that came out last Thursday. If you don't know what video I'm talking about, I'll link it in the description. But first of all, I want to let you know who I am, if you don't know who I am already. My name is Kati Morton, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Licensed marriage and therapy. Thank you. Now I know 100% sure you're not qualified. Thank you.
I've been creating educational mental health videos online for almost 8 years. I choose to spend my time doing this so that anyone who's struggling with a mental health issue knows that they're not alone and that there is help available, and to help them feel empowered to get the help that they need and deserve.
No, she's saying that of help them feel empowered, but in the video, if you remember that the first video she made with Shane Dawson, she's saying that she thinks everyone can get better, but she starting to believe in the video she said that may not be the case. So how? Please tell me, Kati Morton, if a person with antisocial personality disorder saw that video that you made with Shane, and you're saying that they might not have another way, that they might not have a way to feel better, or to become better, how is that going to empower them? So first of all, in the Shane Dawson series, I don't think you are in any way educational, just to say.
Deserve. Now that you know just a little bit about me and who I am, no, I would never intentionally create content that would ever hurt or upset anyone.
Which makes me even angrier, because it just meant you made it out of plain ignorance.
Again, my goal is to educate and empower you. And I was honestly shocked that people were upset about the video that I did with Shane, because if you don't know how this was set up, Shane called me and...
Okay, so now she's shocked, surprised that we as a community find it disgusting that her as a professional did that video. Well, that's gaslighting, baby. You are trying to blame others from what you did. You're trying to blame the feelings of other people of the inappropriate comments you made. Their issue, not yours.
Asked if he could come over and just film me telling him how I would go about diagnosing a sociopath.
Now, this is well, let's continue. I will tell you.
And let him know what symptoms they could have. This was not a session. This was a friend of mine coming over asking for my expertise on...
Okay, first of all, you girl don't have any expertise. I'm so sorry, you don't. So you are not professional. Shane should have looked for. And if you knew you're not an expert that you said so many times in the series, you can always refer Shane to someone. That's what we psychologists do. When we don't know about a subject and someone is asking us about that, we refer them to someone that knows or to some other professional help, maybe a psychiatrist, but you didn't. And that makes me really believe that you just wanted to be a part of the series that you knew was going to have success. And that's really bad, girl. It's really shady. It's not professional at all. And then we have, at least in my university, but I know also in others, they teach us a lot about ethics, and they teach us a lot about being careful when we are psychologists, because whether we like it or not, our friends will search for us for advices, will search for us for information, for anything psychology related. So we are somehow people who have ethical responsibilities. So when you're saying it was not a session, it was just a friend of yours, even with our friends, we must be careful on what we tell them. Because if you are telling your friend really wrong information about some disorder, you're responsible of the ignorance of that person. And right now, you're not only responsible for the ignorance or the misconception of Shane Dawson, but of all of the viewers. Okay, you get it?
A diagnosable mental illness. So I did what any other clinician would do. I grabbed my DSM, which
No, not any clinician will just grab their DSM and tell people, hey, here's the symptoms, just look for them. Because clinicians have more than just a book, have the eye, have the treatment, have the ethics. You can't just open a book and call yourself a clinician.
I know many of you may not even know what that is. And the DSM is the American
really
Psychological Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Mental health professionals such as myself utilize this book when we're diagnosing our patients and trying to get coverage.
We utilize it, yes, but not fully, not only the DSM-5, right now 5 because it's a version, we also use other techniques. I hope you know it, Katie. I hope you do it in your profession. We know as clinicians or as students for clinicians or as teachers or as whatever with psychological with a degree in psychology that a book is not definite, that we need so much more than just the DSM-5. We know that DSM-5 is not perfect. It's really not, and the DSM has never been perfect, and it's not perfect for psychologists, for therapists, because we are not doctors, and the DSM-5, the DSM was written by psychiatrists, by doctors, and by huge market of medicines. The DSM-5 is somehow there to give medicines, and you must know that. So even if it's helpful, you can't take every word like the last word of someone's diagnosis.
From health insurance. It can help make sure that we're giving our patients the right kind of care, understanding their symptoms, and ensuring that their insurance covers the visits. And that's really it. It's not the end-all be-all. I've talked about that.
No, that's amazing, because this is not about Katie, the amazing part. It's about United States. Well, you have the fortune, those who live in USA, to have the American Psychological Association right there. So most of the jobs have and do have the insurance for mental health, and that's amazing. But here in Mexico, we don't have it. So if you have depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, or any other disorder, even with the DSM-5, there's no insurance for you or for you or the medicines you might or might not need. So be thankful because you have that great system.
A lot in my videos, and every country has their own version of a DSM. And many also...
Okay, how can I say this? Every country has their own version of DSM. As far as I know, but if you want I will check, we do not. We all have the same version. We just have different translations. You get it? It's different. We have the same things, the same subjects, the same parameters. We have everything the same, just the translations are different. I have utilized the DSM-5 on English and Spanish, and I really have found no difference at all. So I'm using that from my personal experience. But I'm going to inquire more on that. But I don't think that's happening because the American Psychological Association wants to standardize those disorders that I put on the DSM-5. So I don't believe that they are different. But okay, if you say so.
Even in the state of California, many people also utilize a book called the ICD-10. So
okay, that book is amazing. I actually believe it's a little bit better than the DSM-5.
Just know that that's what that is, and that.
But also depends on the use between the CIE-10, or how she called it. I call it CIE-10 because that's its Spanish translation. ICD in English depends on the disorder you're going to make a diagnosis.
That's why we use it. Now, I know many people have argued that there is a difference between psychopaths, sociopaths, and those with antisocial personality disorder. But as far as the DSM is concerned, as well as my training and the research that I did on the topic, they're all really the same. The only real diagnosis for these things is antisocial personality disorder.
You should have said that in Shane's video. And my main problem with this is that your video is not going to get even a quarter of the views that Shane's video got. So, your video clarifying this is not, it doesn't make an impact like what you said about sociopaths allegedly existing in Shane's video.
However, just like any other mental illness, everyone will experience it differently. This means that some people will have all their criteria, while others will only have some.
Another thing you didn't say in Shane's video, I know you are trying to hide behind the fact that it was a conversation with a friend, but you knew that conversation will make it online. You knew that conversation will be seen by millions of people. So you should have been clear. You should have been clear.
Also, some people can feel like they're born with a mental illness, not remembering a time when they didn't feel the way they feel or just be the way that they are, while others can feel like it was caused or triggered by a trauma. But again, what Shane wanted me to do was just to walk through what a sociopath is. So I simply went through
what Shane did not, a person that is not a professional. You were entitled to tell Shane, no, that's not how it works. I will say everything that it's to know about this mental disorder. You were the professional here. You were the, how to say, legal and ethical authority on that subject. And you misinformed so many people in that video.
Through the diagnostic criteria for antisocial personality disorder as it's listed and described in the DSM. Also, Shane knew I was creating a more intensive video on my channel that would be a deeper...
Shane, again, he's your friend. Yes, we get it clearly and loud. But does everyone else know? I never heard it you saying that on the video.
Dive into sociopathy so that if you have...
No, sociopathy doesn't exist. You already said that, and now you're saying it. You're I don't get you, girl. You just said that it's antisocial personality disorder, which is that accordingly to the DSM-5. So, I don't get you. You're hiding also behind the DSM-5, but you're saying sociopathy. So, you're contradicting yourself a lot here.
had other follow-up questions or concerns, you could hopefully find them there. And my channel is an education channel, and therefore would be much less dramatic than Shane's. And I understand people
I know she's kind of throwing a little shade here to Shane.
are upset that the conversation about mental illness was so dramatized in his video, but have you ever watched any of his conspiracy videos before? They're always dramatic. That's what makes them.
The problem is not Shane, Katie. The problem is not Shane. His videos are amazing and he has clearly what he wants to do. The problem is you. The problem is that you are the professional. You should have some kind of stance in there, and you didn't act as a professional. So
Interesting and exciting. My video was supposed to be the less dramatic and more educational version, and that's why they came out at the same time, so that you can have easy access to all the information. And if you haven't watched my video on that, I'll link that in the description as well. And it's also important to understand that those with antisocial personality disorder do not suffer from their illness. And I know that that is really, really hard to understand, but they're not upset about their lack of a full range of emotions or that they don't feel remorse. And like I said in my video, no, they're not all violent. Again, everyone experiences their mental illness differently. But when I was reading books and current research on sociopathy, there were many various cases.
Again, if it's current, then it shouldn't be called sociopathy. Sorry. Sociopatas, for those who speak Spanish. It shouldn't, if they were so current, if they were really so accurate, then you would have found like antisocial personality disorder.
Studies that they showed just to let you know how someone with antisocial personality disorder could experience the symptoms. For example, one person that they followed was a successful businessman, and they tracked him back when he was a child. They'd asked many people he grew up with and his parents, and they found that when he was little, he enjoyed killing frogs.
Wait, I have something to say because I got really intrigued about the ethical principles of psychology regarding what she's saying, that she has an education channel. And here it says, are the ethical principles directly from the American Psychological Association. So here it is. It's section 7, education and training. Psychologists responsible for education and training programs take reasonable steps to ensure that the programs are designed to provide the appropriate knowledge and proper experiences. So, your program, to say at least, is YouTube, but you're not giving appropriate knowledge to the people that watch it. Other goals for which claims are made by the program. So you should have also said in the video what were your objectives. And here other accuracy in teaching. Psychologists take reasonable steps to ensure that the course syllabi, or whatever it's pronounced, are accurate regarding the subject matter to be covered, and they are obviously no.
That's something he did. But he was never physically violent with other people when he was an adult. So that was kind of one version of one person's story of how they experienced the symptoms. And then a whole another one was there was this woman who would steal stamps from post office every few months just because she could and she wanted to, and she wanted to show she'd get away with it. She felt powerful knowing that she could do it. And so I just give you those two case studies to kind of let you know that everyone is going to be different. Those are vastly different stories. We're all different, right? But it's also important to know that having a mental illness doesn't mean that you aren't responsible for your actions. We are all responsible for our actions. And
so take responsibility for your actions, Katie. It's not Shane's fault the video was dramatic. It's not Shane's fault that what he asked for you. It's your fault that you gave it all wrong. Another thing that I like to say is from the ethical principles is the conflict of interest. Psychologists refrain from taking on a professional role when personal, scientific, professional, legal, financial, or other interests or relationships could reasonably be expected. So you cannot be taken on account as a professional or with a professional role if you are in a friendship and a personal friendship with Shane. Also, when psychologists agree to provide services to a person or entity at the request of a third party, psychologists attempt to clarify at the outset of the service the nature of the relationship with all individuals or organizations involved, which you didn't do to Jake Paul. You didn't clarify the outset of the service the nature of your relationship. You right out lied. This clarification should include the role of the psychologist, therapist, consultant, diagnostician, or expert witness. What were you?
If we're manipulating others to get what we want, that's a terrible thing and not okay. And when I said it's just gross and really creepy, I was saying that in relation to people who don't feel remorse for harmful acts. If you watch the video that—
No, you were clearly talking about those people because you said that they. You say they give you. You didn't say that kind of people give me that. You need to be clear. You can expect people to just enter your mind, and right now it just sounds like you're making up excuses.
That's what I'm referring to. I'm not saying everyone is creepy or gross. I would never say that. But if someone is hurting you and knows they're doing it, yet doesn't feel bad and will keep doing it until they get what they want, that's not a nice feeling or an exciting thing to discuss, you know?
Yes, but that's also not gross. That's mean, probably. Just write your adjectives. Oh my god. You're a psychologist. They teach you so much about the proper words to say, and you failed.
That's why the mental illness isn't discussed frequently. Many people don't want to talk about it. And if you were offended by any of my statements or descriptions, I'm sorry, that was completely not my intention. My intention was to educate you so that you are more aware. Remember, only 1 in 25 or 4% of the total population have this disorder.
Again, I don't know if this is real, but it's not on your competence. And as I said, again, in the ethical principles of the APA, psychologists who provide services, teach and conduct research with populations and in areas only within their boundaries of competence based on their education, training, supervised experience, consultation, study, or professional experience. You have none of that in this subject. So, tell me, Katie, how are you going to break so many ethical codes and not care about that?
So there are 96% of us who could fall victim to that manipulation that I'm talking about. So I want to make you more aware. The last thing I want to address are the actual comments and hate. Here's one I received today. I hope this fucking dumb bitch dies just because. Awesome. All I ask—
So that's awful. Yeah, I don't hope you die just because. And I really don't hope you die just because of anything. But I do hope that you take a check on your knowledge and your competences, and also maybe the American Psychology Association checks on your license and maybe give you some kind of mandatory course of ethical principles.
Ask of you is that you recognize that I'm a human too. I'm not perfect, nor have I ever pretended to be. I would never speak to any of you that way, ever. Shout at you or assume the worst without knowing you. If anyone thinks it's okay to speak to another human being like that, and then expect, a thoughtful conversation to happen,
But it's what you did when you tell people they were gross or they give you a feeling. Were you really expecting not any backlash from that kind of comments?
really, really wrong. The only way we can both learn from this and move forward is if we can each share our own perspective on a situation and really hear each other out. Shaming, cussing, and shouting doesn't leave any room for that. In fact, I actually found myself completely shutting down, blocking everyone whose comment was hurtful and not even wanting to get online. And that doesn't help either of us learn from the situation. So just consider what you say online. And if you would comfortably say this to me or anyone—
Katie, I think you're reflecting on yourself right now a lot, because you should have also considered what you're saying online, what you're saying in Shane's video, what you're doing as a professional. So please stop making everyone else guilty except yourself. You're putting yourself out there like you have something to learn, something nice, like I have to learn, I'm a human, but you're not saying it right off the bat. I failed, because you did. And you got much more support that you got those hateful comments. And even though I do not agree with people threatening you and things they don't know about you, I also don't agree with the people say that there was nothing wrong with what you did, because there was so many wrong things.
Else when looking at them in the eye in person. If you would, and you also believe that your comment will lead to a real conversation, then I'm more than willing to hear you out. My longtime audience knows I have no problem saying I'm wrong or that I'm sorry. I've even taken...
So I hope if you ever see my video that you go out and say that you're sorry and you were wrong. I really do hope that. I don't know if you would, and I really don't like you, Katie, from the videos that I have seen of you. You come across to me as interested in fame, interested in views, not really in mental health. And I dare to say that right now I don't respect you as a professional.
Videos down and completely redone them when I misspoke. But I won't be able to really hear you if you're just yelling at me in a rage. Again, I'm not perfect. You know, I'm sorry if you were hurt, but what I promise to keep doing is to try my best to be caring with how I speak to others, and I just hope that you will do the same. And overall, I really love what Shane did with the video. I applaud him for even reaching out to me and asking a real mental health professional to weigh in on something. And
I'm sorry, but you're not a real mental health professional on that subject. So even though I am glad that Shane wanted that point of view, you weren't the professional to call. And if you knew that, if you knew you had so much to learn, you should have referred him to another person that you might know does know about that subject.
And talk about it and bring, shed light on mental illness and mental health as a whole. His videos get a ton of views, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me to bring more awareness. And he's just a great guy, and I know that this has been really stressful for him, and I'm excited to see what the other videos hold. You guys are gonna love this series, and it's just really great for him to even reach out to me in the first place. Thanks for taking the time to hear me out. I hope that this comment section will not be filled with more hate, but instead more human understanding and thoughtful conversation. I also want to state that I'm never going to let any misunderstandings or hate keep me from helping any and everyone out there who is struggling with a mental illness and doesn't know how to get the help that they need.
So yeah,
Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for listening and hearing me out, and I will see you next time.
So she's over, and so I have my final and last statement, I hope, about this issue. Kati Morton, you are and were and not you are not the professional that should have been in that video, and I believe that there should have been a professional in that video. Personally, of course, Shane could have some guidance, but I don't think that a serious psychologist, a serious therapist, a serious mental health advocate would have lent themselves to something they don't know about, and something that they knew would be this kind of the dark side of Jake Paul, that it would be dramatic. I really don't think what you did, it's okay. I don't think it's right. Even this hateful comment from the dark side of Jake Paul is not a right video. You're saying, I'm sorry if I offend someone, but you're not taking responsibility for your actions, for your lack of ethics in this subject. I do hope somehow that the American Psychological Association takes a look on those specific videos. I think that they will not, and they might not care, but I think you need to check again those ethical principles of the APA, because you clearly just didn't see them or didn't care. So remember, and I hope you do remember, and if anyone out there is a psychology student, that you are somehow a person that has authority in the mental health subject. So if anyone, even your friend, asks you for advice or information, you are in duty to give the best information you can. And if you know that you can't give any accurate information, you should refer to someone else. And remember, advices to friends is always something to be careful about, and even advices to anyone as a psychologist, because at least in my university, they have taught us so much that advices are not good. The person should arrive to the conclusion by themselves. But well, that's I grew out of the topic. So yeah, if anyone out there, Katie, or any other psychology student is watching this, remember for your future interactions with other people that what you say does matter, and what you say is the word of a professional, so it will be taken on account as that. And if you are not an expert on the topic you're talking about, then you have to make a disclaimer: this might not be at all real, or give the exceptions, or two, and more easy, refer to someone. And also, the DSM-5 is not the law. The DSM-5 is a guide. So and maybe in legal spaces you can cover your asses for saying with the DSM-5, yeah, maybe that person did this bad and it was my patient, but in DSM-5 I did exactly what I had to do, or I knew it had this diagnosis, so you can cover your ass with that somehow, legally, but ethically you can't. I will be posting more cold tea, hot tea, and tea no one cares about. Thank you for watching this. Put your comments down below, and if you have any doubt or want me to research this furthermore with more information, legit information, please tell me about it. Thank you, and see you next tea.